Hey, welcome. You ever wonder what therapists talk about with other therapists? What are the big questions, the professional anxieties that are really on their minds? Well, let's dive into that. We're going to pull back the curtain on three key conversations that are absolutely dominating the Clinicians Exchange right now. It's a rare inside look at the real state of modern therapy.
So, this is the big question, right? What are the most pressing challenges for psychotherapists today? And we're not talking about hypotheticals here. This is about the real-world, day in, day out struggles facing the people we turn to for help. And the answers, coming straight from clinicians themselves, seem to circle around three things: skill, safety, and the system.
Okay, first up, a skill that seems so fundamental it's almost a given is being put under the microscope, and that's empathy. But hold on, this isn't about whether therapists should be empathetic. Of course they should. The conversation has gotten way more specific, zeroing in on a particular type of empathy that's absolutely critical. And here it is. According to researchers Miller and Moyers, the word everyone is focusing on is accurate. This is a huge deal. It represents a shift from just thinking of empathy as this sort of vague, warm feeling to seeing it for what it is: a precise clinical tool that you can actually train and measure.
So what's the difference, really? Well, it's the difference between simply feeling with someone and the clinical skill of accurately understanding their inner world and then reflecting it back to them. Think of it like this. General empathy might sound like, oh, that sounds awful. But accurate empathy, that sounds more like, it seems like you feel completely misunderstood, and that feeling of being alone is maybe even more painful than the thing that happened. Am I getting that right? See, that precision, that's where the breakthroughs happen.
Now, the second major conversation kind of builds on this idea of precision, but it shifts from skill to safety, and it calls into question one of the absolute cornerstones of therapy: confidentiality. I mean, for therapy to even work, that room, whether it's a real room or a virtual one, has to be like a sealed vault. But what clinicians are asking is that vault really sound anymore?
And that's the dilemma that's keeping therapists on their toes. It's a really profound question, both ethically and just practically. With how fast the world is changing, can any therapist, no matter how careful they are, truly guarantee that what you say to them stays 100% private? And the reasons for this are, well, they're everywhere. We live in an age with more surveillance and, let's be honest, just a general erosion of privacy. But there's a challenge that's pretty unique to modern therapy, and that's just all the different ways we communicate now. When sessions are over an app, or a therapist and client text each other, every single one of those interactions creates a new digital footprint, a new potential crack in that sealed vault.
All right, this third and final conversation thread moves us completely outside the therapy room. It's all about the external, systemic forces that are putting a ton of pressure on the entire practice of psychotherapy, and it's affecting both the clinician and the client.
So this whole discussion got kicked off by an article about Medicare Advantage, but it quickly became clear it was about something much bigger. Clinicians are feeling caught, squeezed between what their clients need and a system that often feels like it's working against them. We're talking about insurance plans that dictate how long therapy can last, or what kind you can get, or the administrative burden being so heavy that therapists are spending more time on paperwork than with patients. It creates this whole other layer of stress that has absolutely nothing to do with a client's actual well-being.
So, okay, we've got these three different conversations, right? A clinical skill, an ethical principle, and a systemic pressure. They seem pretty separate, but what if they're not? What if they are all deeply connected, all pointing to the single most important ingredient in any therapy, and that is trust?
And here's exactly how it all links up. First, on the skill level. If a client doesn't feel accurately understood, how can they trust the therapist? Then, on the privacy level. If they can't trust that the space is truly confidential, they're never going to fully open up. And finally, on the system level. If both the client and the therapist feel like the healthcare system is actively working against them, how can they possibly trust the process? Each one of these issues is a potential crack in the very foundation of therapeutic trust. So, that leaves us with one last big question to think about. Of all these challenges, which one is the most critical for the future of therapy? Is it an internal one, perfecting the skill of accurate empathy? Is it an ethical one, figuring out how to protect privacy in this digital world? Or is it an external one, fighting for a system that actually supports mental health? They're all connected, for sure, but where we focus our energy, that could define everything. Definitely something to think about.